Should New Hampshire peaceably declare its independence from the U.S. federal government? Some believe that this is a laughable question. Do they fear the answer?
It's hard to not have your voice be heard. I don't believe that a country of 330 million people should be managed and governed by an organization in Washington, D.C.
Trump didn't save us, Biden didn't save us. They're making it worse. No one's going to save us.
As things get bad, as gas goes to $5 and $10 and inflation is now at 8%, it's probably more like 20%. As people get frustrated with the leadership of their government, it's causing people to kind of look around and say, hey, maybe there's a different way. More importantly, work together to create a community, a state, that we live according to our philosophy.
I thought Governor Sununu said the best way, though. He's like, when crazy comes knocking at the door, you slam it shut. My name's Representative Brody DeShays. I'm running for re-election in Wolfboro and Tufton Borough, which is Carroll County's 6th district. When someone's young and like really involved in the process and elected and representing like a community of thousands of people, yeah, they're going to be surprised. They're going to say, you don't look like what I kind of expect. I love Wolfboro. It's my home. I plan on dying here and being buried in the South Wolfboro Cemetery. So that's how I feel about Wolfboro. It's my pride and joy. Something that was very interesting this year was a number of constitutional amendments put forward. And I read it and I was like, this is insane. A movement like a secessionist movement, it doesn't support our U.S. Constitution. It actually is a direct affront to it. And I don't think it supports our values in New Hampshire or in America.
What would that look like if New Hampshire were to secede in your eyes?
I would say paradise. Well, I'm the president of the Foundation for New Hampshire Independence. I'm officially big on independence. I'm Alu Axelman. I just finished a book 4 or 5 weeks ago. I published Presumed Guilty. 5 books total about freedom now, all about liberty stuff and how I don't trust the government. I still hate the P word. I don't like politics, nobody does, but I like keeping my own money. When they steal half my money, that'll get my attention. So the biggest taxes are the federal income tax. They take 25% of my money every year. That's a lot of money. Almost every single problem stems from DC. So if there's one thing we could do to fix all of these issues, it's sever ties with DC.
We have a secession movement here in New Hampshire. It's a pretty large one.
The first war of secession.
I'm working on it politically, and I'm hoping that we're successful. I think we're pretty close.
Honestly, I don't think New Hampshire will secede. Well, I mean, like, I want it to because I want to be president of New Hampshire.
I'm going to open up the Constitution Amendment on Resolution 32, and the state peaceably declares independence from the United States and proceeds as a sovereign nation.
While the people reserve to themselves the right to revolution in Part 1st, Article 10, we are here today to head off any consideration of anything but a peaceful formation of a new government, independent of rule from Washington, D.C.
The last thing I'd want to see is something like the secession movement convince voters to leave the Republican Party because they don't view the Republican Party as a legitimate party. When I saw this, I was like, this is a bridge too far and someone needs to fight it. And, you know, I took it upon myself.
Everyone in this room knows the federal government is far from perfect, right? Democrats, Republicans, libertarians, anarchists.
Voters are going to decide whether or not they think their vision and their goals are worthy of being implemented in the state.
We can't, as legislators, we can't push forward unconstitutional legislation.
Where I think we're genuinely misunderstood is that we are actually trying to fix and reform problems.
Face it, Granite Staters are abused by DC. What do we advise victims to do when they're abused?
And people don't want to hear it.
We tell them to leave, which means we have the right to ask for a divorce.
And people don't actually want to look in the mirror and go, oh my God, this is actually what's going on.
I forgot about the free stater thing. How many out here are all free staters?
They want to isolate us and say it's the free staters, but like, I've lived here for 14 years now. I'm a Granite Stater. Like, I'm not out to do anything other than to like be a good neighbor.
Even if you're against independence, even if you're in favor of the empire, in favor of continuing the Union, you should vote in favor to pass this bill to let the people of New Hampshire decide. Because if you think it's a terrible idea to leave, surely you think the people of New Hampshire agree with you. And so therefore they would vote it down if it came to their vote in November. What's to be afraid of? Afraid of.
In 2017, we realized that there were over a dozen Free State Project members running for local office who were out loud and actively organizing for secession. So we published this report. This has always been a part of the Free State Project. Here they are actively organizing for secession, and they are on your local ballot.
Secession is part of the grand plan, is it not, for the Free State?
It is not, but some New Hampshire residents, including some libertarians and some Free Staters, support New Hampshire independence. I do not personally, so some Free Staters also oppose New Hampshire independence. So it's a debate that goes on within the movement. My dissertation was on secessionist movements, so movements for autonomy and independence around the world. In my initial essay, proposed that the state could use the possibility of secession as leverage to get more powers back from the federal government. However, in the follow-up essay I wrote 2 weeks later, I backed away from that and said, well, this idea shouldn't be a part of the Free State Project as an organization or as a movement. And so it really was never part of the Free State Project.
House will come to order. The motion before us is the tabling motion on CACR 32.
We have this legislation in front of us. It is a bill to destroy the United States. We are considering legislation to take a star off of that flag. That is beyond shameful, it is beyond disgraceful, and it is a stain on the proud history of this state that we even have to entertain this. A vote for this is really close to the federal definition of treason. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The House will be in order.
This bill has no one in the chamber voting directly on secession. It asks them only to allow those we purport to represent to make their own decisions.
This is a historic moment, not just in the state of New Hampshire, but it's a historic moment in America. This is the first time a legislative body has debated and will vote upon binding secession. It will be the first one debated since prior to the Civil War. It's a terrible thing to do to our constituents, a terrible thing to do to Granite Staters.
The motion before us is the ITL motion on CACR 32. 323 voting yea, 13 voting nay. Committee report is adopted.
Unfortunately, the state reps did not see the wisdom in asking the people what they thought, and they killed the bill.
The bill failed, thankfully, and it just shows how extreme and how serious they are.
I think that secession is going to continue to come back because it's an idea whose time has come.
Hi, Manchester, and welcome back to the Carla Garrick Show. It's episode 30, and I'm delighted that you are joining me here today. The latest critics have their little knickers in a knot about secession. I have news for you. Secession, talk of independence, talk of reform, saying our government sucks and that we need to do something about it is about as American as you can get. So there's this lady, her name is Karen. I mean, she is a literal Karen.
I grew up in Minnesota, and I went to the University of Minnesota, and I moved to Atkinson. So we've been here 18 years to the day. And so now I have an orchard of 20 different fruit trees. I have 2 colonies, 2 beehives. I have 20 chickens, 3 dogs, and 4 cats. This is Pi. No matter where I go out, if I come out to go in the garden or in the orchard, she always comes to find me. I was just blown away that we could have any secession bill, that was just crazy and insane. I believe those 14 New Hampshire representatives violated the Constitution, and per sections 1 and 3 of the 14th Amendment, they shouldn't be allowed to hold office.
So today's hearing is at 1 p.m. It's up at the State Archives. When I'm done shooting this, I will be heading out. My prediction is this is a big nothing burger and it's just gonna go away.
Hi guys.
Good morning. The bill failed in the House, but we had great discussion, great debate. And now, like 3 weeks before the Republican primary, a citizen filed a complaint with the Ballot Law Commission to throw the people off the ballot for proposing this bill.
Insurrection does not have to be violent. Any effort for a state to secede from the U.S. is a violation of the U.S. Constitution. It is both the Commission's authority, responsibility, and obligation to find that these 14 New Hampshire state representatives who have taken an oath to uphold the U.S. Constitution be ineligible to hold office in the state of New Hampshire.
I felt honored to, be attacked, just being kind of an amateur politician.
I'm Matthew Santanastasso. I'm honored that some people think that as a first-term legislator, I'm such a threat to the establishment that they would attempt to bar me from re-election.
It was a political attack is what it was. There's no way that anybody could reasonably believe that that complaint would go anywhere.
So you weren't worried about it today?
No, I wasn't even going to go, but some people are coming here, some of my friends, so I figured I'd come and say hi to them.
I move that we dismiss this complaint. For lack of jurisdiction. Aye.
Thank you very much for your time. I don't see Wednesday's ruling as a loss. I see it as I was in the wrong place. I need to find the right place. I need to bring my compelling evidence and my petition to the people who do have jurisdiction.
So you're not done?
No.
I think this is a first salvo, and if it's a first salvo, I'm gonna say we won.
The real victory is that people who had no idea about the Free State Movement, people who had no idea that there are state representatives who are planning for secession, they are now learning. I'm shining sunlight on some of the dark stuff that is happening.